We were asking ourselves if Hunter Greene can make 30 starts in 2026, and now we're just hoping he can make one.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Jeff Carr. This is the Locked On Reds podcast, part of the #1 sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for joining me. We will be discussing Hunter Greene's reported elbow discomfort. Now, there has not been a concrete report that, yes, he needs Tommy John surgery. No, he doesn't need Tommy John surgery, whatever it might be. But I've seen enough of these injuries to know that what comes next is never good. The Reds have reported, and this came out just a little bit ago on Wednesday morning, that Hunter Greene is dealing with elbow stiffness. There are multiple different angles to this, and I want to look at all of them specifically from Hunter Greene's side. We'll talk about how the rotation moves without him on the next Locked On Reds podcast. We even have an episode coming up later today with John Sadak, and I'm sure that we will discuss that with him too. But this is specifically about Hunter Greene because this injury is unfortunate. And apparently this is something he's been dealing with for a long time. Before I get too deep into my analysis on what this all sounds like, let's look at what he had to say, because he spoke with the media, and Charlie Goldsmith posted the transcript of that conversation on his Substack. I urge you to subscribe to this. Charlie has the best Reds coverage over on Charlie's chalkboard, but this is the big part of it here. Hunter Greene had to say this, quote, "I had this toward the end of the season last year in my final 5 or 6 starts. I had elbow discomfort. It was a playoff push, so I pushed through it," he said. "I felt fine in the offseason. I got an injection. About a week before spring training started, the discomfort came back. I've been managing it through camp so far. We're going to check it and get it looked at. It makes sense to do it now. I know I have bone spurs. As of now, there's no UCL damage. Hopefully it's just that, and we get that taken care of, and I can get back out there. We have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. I'm a big part of that. I want to go out there and compete with the guys. Hopefully I can still make a good amount of starts and not miss a really good chunk of the season, and most importantly, the playoff push. Hopefully this is quick. I still have to check with the doctors," unquote. That is from Hunter Greene himself as he was talking with the media, and quite frankly, I don't like this one bit. I have heard too many reports of this pitcher or that pitcher dealing with elbow discomfort. And I dare say 100% of the time, elbow discomfort is not followed by everything's fine. And Hunter Greene's mandate for this season, his challenge, his expectation, all of the above, was to make a good amount of starts. Good amount of starts being what we kind of felt like being 25 or more. The Reds' top 4 of their starting pitching staff is elite, and that is led by Hunter Greene. And we were hoping for 120 starts from those 4 pitchers in some manner. If you add them all up and all this other stuff, you can make 25 with Hunter Greene and still get to 120 based on what the other 3 do. But this now makes me wonder if we get even 1 start out of Hunter Greene. This is me basing my baseball fandom history and knowing what I know about these types of injuries. I don't like this one bit. The fact that he was dealing with this throughout the end of last season, and he got a injection already in the offseason, which is one of the things that you do to avoid Tommy John surgery, and the fact that that didn't help. And he comes to spring training, he's still feeling it. He throws in his first spring training game, he's still feeling it. This is not good. This is very not good, and they should absolutely treat this as carefully as possible. Hunter Greene has already had Tommy John surgery in his career. In case you forgot, when he was a prospect with the Reds coming up through the minor leagues, he got Tommy John back in 2019. I've read some things that talk about post-first Tommy John surgery. There are a lot of pitchers who enjoy health and success and things like that for somewhere between 5 and 10 years. So he's firmly within the middle of that range. It's been 7 years since he got Tommy John surgery. So this now makes me wonder if this is time for the second one. And there are a lot of other pitchers that have had 2 Tommy John surgeries and been okay. but this is going to be a big, big challenge for him as we move forward. Even if this is just the bone spurs, like he said in his own words, bone spurs. And I love the optimism. I do. Everydayers will know that I am one of the most optimistic Reds fans out there. But optimism is not reality. You cannot be optimistic about health and overlook certain things. If this is UCL damage, which he says it's not, but he's going for two opinions. He's going to meet with Timothy Krimchek reportedly on Friday, and then he's going to meet with Dr. Neil Elatrosh on Monday for two opinions on this elbow. You don't get two opinions for something that you think is going to be minor. So this is going to be something where I don't have a lot of optimism and faith in this. And I mean, he said it specifically. He said, is there any long-term concern? Is the UCL okay? And Hunter Greene responded by saying, quote, it's completely clean. I just got stuff floated around. I've got to see how we're going to manage that, unquote. The optimistic side of me is being completely silenced on this one because my realistic take on pitcher injuries are, if it ain't working, you got to get it fixed. And that's unfortunate because it feels like this is something that he is going to have to get fixed. And that just makes me have a lot of questions about how this was dealt with from the very beginning. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups. You can even look at mid-major games, which I love a good mid-major matchup. And you can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. You can even check out different odds. I mean, you got the Bearcats finishing up the regular season. The Miami Redhawks are looking to finish their regular season undefeated on the road against Ohio. All of that is over on FanDuel. Go safe, go bold, or ride with the team that you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, and all of the above, so that you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. You're really taking aim at the right person. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of today's podcast will get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status that it deserves over at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on today's show. Indeed.com/PODCAST. In terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And today I'm thrilled to be talking about our sponsor, MLB The Show 26. The greatest game in baseball is back with its newest installment, and baseball fans are going to have a hard time pulling themselves away from this game. They've made so many great updates when it comes to Road to the Show. You can really feel like you're immersing yourself in the process of becoming a big leaguer. If you're like me and you've always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, though I learned early on that wasn't going to happen, MLB The Show 26 will give you that next chance to get it done. If you're a gamer, a baseball fan, or you just want to enjoy America's pastime in a new and exciting way, you're going to love MLB The Show 26. Play as your favorite team and franchise players and see if you have what it takes to win your own World Series. Visit MLBtheshow.com/lockedon and use the code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection is required. Pre-order now. Available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Thanks for making Locked On Reds part of your day. Got an awesome episode coming up later with John Sadak. He's going to join Steve and myself, and we're going to talk a lot about this. We're going to talk about Matt McLain hitting in the 2 spot on opening day and the overall new feel of Reds TV. So make sure you join us on that one. Make sure you're subscribed. Join the Everydayer Club, lockedonreds.supercast.com. You'll get ad-free episodes and so much more. Getting back to this injury, though, because and we'll talk a lot about how the pitching staff moves without Hunter Greene. Honestly, I think they might be okay. They won't be as good, but I think they'll be okay. But with Hunter Greene specifically, this injury, I know that a lot was made this offseason about his toughness and about his want to and all this other stuff. And so he probably felt very slighted by that. And in fact, based on the interviews he's given in spring training, he did. And he dealt with it professionally. He dealt with it very well. But I've got to imagine that was in the back of his mind as he was getting news of this injury and, he was feeling it and all this other stuff. So he was thinking, I cannot give in to what people are saying about me right now and get this taken care of. That was the incorrect way to approach this. I know that it was pride. I know that it was, he was trying to make sure that he showed up big time with this. He should have got this cleaned up in the offseason. Honestly, and it's tough to say this for any athlete going through a playoff push because I doubt anyone would agree with it. But looking at the future and looking at how everything plays out for a player in their career, looking how stuff plays out for teams as the years move along, he probably should have had this dealt with when he was feeling it last season. All of the reports, and he said so himself, are that he felt this stiffness and this discomfort possibly as far back as August of 2025. And he pushed through it. And so there's a little bit of me that's like, well, yay on you for your fortitude and your strength to push through this, but was it worth it? Because now we're looking at possibly losing the 2026 season. And I get it, there's going to be some folks that are just like, well, he said he doesn't have any UCL damage. He says that before he's looking at doctor reports. He says that before doctors are looking at his elbow. And so if he knew that there were bone spurs and whatever, tissue or whatever it might be that is affecting his elbow, and he still pushed through that stuff doesn't just stick around in there. It's probably doing damage to the UCL. And that's all speculation on my part, but I have not seen a report of elbow discomfort come back and this guy pitches on opening day. Hunter Greene is definitely not going to be the opening day starter. There's a very strong likelihood that we don't see him for a couple of months into the season, and that might be the most optimistic side of this diagnosis. I would be shocked if they come back and they say he doesn't need Tommy John surgery. So that's the part of this that I believe they could have avoided, right? And that's me sitting here talking to you on the Locked On Reds podcast, and I don't necessarily know, but based on all of the other pitcher injuries that I've seen in my life as a baseball fan, they have all ended up the same. The elbow doesn't feel great, and then some amount of time passes, whether that's hours, days, or weeks, and they get Tommy John surgery. And you look back and you wonder why it wasn't handled. So then that leads me to 2 questions here. Number 1, why didn't Hunter Greene feel like he needed to? And the obvious answer to that is that he was feeling disrespected based on reports that were coming out that he wasn't into it, because those reports came out back during last year's All-Star break. So those were super fresh on his mind whenever he started to feel this. But then number 2, Reds medical staff. What are we doing? We continue to ask this question. And again, I don't know. But from a fan's perspective, it certainly seems like just about every injury that happens with the Cincinnati Reds, it seems as though there is a different way that it could have been handled. And this is a huge one, because you are talking about arguably the most important player on the team. I think most people would say Elly De La Cruz, but there's a good argument that Hunter Greene could be that guy. And now we are looking at spending the entirety of 2026 without him. I feel like that is absolutely horrible. And so there's a lot of questions that have to be answered moving forward. Like I said, he's not going to meet with Dr. Timothy Krimchek until Friday. And then he won't get his second opinion with Dr. Neil Elatrash until Monday. But for my part, as much as I'd like to look at the optimistic side of things right here, I am counting him out for opening day. We're probably talking about Andrew Abbott starting opening day, which Steve will like. And we're probably talking about Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns being in this rotation, which I will admit doesn't look that horrible. But overall, this rotation will take a step back without Hunter Greene. The good news is it just won't be that big of a step back. We'll talk more about that on the next Locked On Reds podcast with John Sadak joining Steve and myself. So much to get to with John. I was all ready to sit here and talk for about 10, 15 minutes about the fact that it looks like Matt McLain might be our number 2 hitter on opening day. We'll still talk about that and a whole lot more as we move through spring training. So make sure that you're subscribed. We've got you covered. Everything Cincinnati Reds all day, every day here on the Locked On Reds podcast. So make sure that you become a part of that. Become an everydayer. You can get an ad-free feed if you join the Everydayer Club by going to lockedonreds.supercast.com to learn more about that. But as for myself and for Steve and John Sadak here in a little bit, you know that we will be Locked On Reds every single day.